Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be digging into something pretty fascinating, the rise of AI.
Hmm.
But we're not just going to be, talking about the latest algorithms and all that. We're going back in time a bit to the Industrial Revolution.
Interesting.
Why? Well, because get this, understanding how past revolutions like that one can give us clues about what's happening right now with AI.
I like it.
Right. Both these eras saw tech automating jobs, industries getting completely disrupted, and those big questions about the future of work, yeah, those are popping up again.
Yeah, that's right. History might not repeat itself exactly, but it often rhymes.
Ooh, I like that. It rhymes.
So by looking at the long-term impacts of the Industrial Revolution, we can get some insights,
Mm-hmm.
you know, into the potential opportunities and also the challenges that AI might bring.
Absolutely. So, Industrial Revolution 101, set the stage for us. What are the key things we need to know?
Okay, so imagine a world where almost everything
Yeah.
is made by hand. And then, bam, new technologies come on the scene. Starting in the late 1700s, the steam engine, invented by James Watt, really changes everything. Suddenly you've got this power source driving all this machinery on a scale never seen before.
So we're talking about this shift from human power to machine power. How did that impact people's lives back then?
Oh, it was transformative. Take the textile industry as an example. Before all these fancy machines came along, a skilled artisan might spend hours, like literally hours, weaving a single piece of cloth.
Wow.
But then, inventions like the spinning jenny and the power loom, they come along. And now you have unskilled workers producing fabric at an incredible speed.
That's insane.
Right.
It's got to be like the original automation anxiety.
Exactly. And it wasn't just about jobs disappearing either. The factory system. That created a whole new way of working. People started flocking to cities for these factory jobs, led to this massive urbanization. New economic classes emerged, social structures shifted, and basically the world was changed forever.
Okay, so we see how this all went down back then. But how does this historical lesson apply to what we're seeing right now with AI?
Well, just like the steam engine revolutionized physical labor, AI is kind of poised to transform cognitive tasks. We're already seeing this happening, like with virtual assistants, recommendation algorithms, things like that.
Okay, yeah, I see those examples everywhere. But sometimes they seem kind of abstract to me. Can you make that a little more concrete?
Sure. Think about self-driving cars.
Okay.
That's AI in action right there. It's analyzing these huge amounts of data in real time to navigate these complex environments.
Well, yeah, okay. That's a good one. But AI feels different from those old machines of the Industrial Revolution. It's not just about doing things faster
Hmm.
or more efficiently. It's almost like machines that can learn, adapt, and potentially even outthink us in some areas.
You're spot on. AI isn't just about automation. It's about machines that can learn and evolve and, yeah, potentially exceeding human capabilities in certain areas. Plus, the pace of change is just dramatically different. The Industrial Revolution, that unfolded over decades. AI, that's happening much faster, which means the potential for disruption is even bigger.
Okay, so we've got these two massive shifts in technology, the Industrial Revolution and the rise of AI, both transforming society. But AI is happening at warp speed, so the stakes are higher, right? What kind of parallels are we seeing in terms of impacts?
Well, just as the Industrial Revolution led to job shifts
Yeah.
and, new industries popping up, we're seeing similar trends with AI,
Hmm.
but the types of jobs at risk are different this time around.
Oh, really? Like what kinds of jobs are we talking about here?
Think about jobs that involve doing the same thing over and over,
Yeah.
repetitive tasks, or data analysis, like data entry clerks,
Yeah.
truck drivers, even some types of financial analysts. These are all jobs
Mhm.
that can be significantly impacted by AI in the next few years even.
So it's not just blue-collar jobs, it's white-collar jobs too. Huh. Okay, that's a game changer. What about new jobs, though? Did new types of jobs emerge during the Industrial Revolution? That could give us clues about what's coming.
Absolutely. The need for engineers, factory managers, skilled technicians, it all skyrocketed during the Industrial Revolution. And we're seeing similar things emerging now.
So like jobs in AI development,
Wow.
data science,
Guys,
cybersecurity.
Exactly. But it even goes beyond just the tech sector.
Yeah.
We also need people who can bridge that gap between technology and human needs. So think about areas like AI ethics, user experience design, AI training and education. These are all going to grow significantly as AI becomes more woven into our lives.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's not all doom and gloom for the job market, but it does mean people need to be ready. to adapt and learn new skills.
Exactly. And the real key takeaway here is that the future is not set in stone. We have the power to shape the AI revolution and make sure it benefits everyone.
I like that. That's really important. We're not just passengers on this AI train. We can influence where it goes. But how do we do that?
Well, one big lesson from the Industrial Revolution is the importance of being proactive. We have to kind of anticipate the challenges and the opportunities that AI presents,
Yeah.
and then develop strategies to deal with the risks and really maximize those benefits.
Okay, that makes sense, but it's still a little abstract for me. Can you give me some concrete examples of what that proactive planning might look like?
Sure. Think about education.
Okay.
We need to be investing in programs that equip people with the skills they'll need to thrive in a world powered by AI. And not just technical skills, critical thinking,
Yeah.
problem solving, the ability to adapt to change.
Right, so it's about preparing people, not just for specific jobs, but for a future where they'll need to constantly be learning. That makes a lot of sense. But education alone isn't enough, right? We also have to consider the ethics of all this.
Absolutely. And that's where another lesson from the Industrial Revolution comes in. Just like that era led to important social reforms,
Yeah.
like labor laws, workers' rights movements. We need to be thinking about how to ensure that AI is developed and used ethically and responsibly.
Okay, so let's dive into those ethical considerations then. What are some of the key concerns we need to be thinking about as AI becomes more powerful and more a part of our everyday lives?
Well, one of the biggest concerns is the potential for AI to be used
Yeah.
in ways that harm individuals or society as a whole.
Oh, okay. Can you give me some examples of what you mean?
Well, think about the potential for AI to be used for surveillance
Mm.
or, autonomous weapon systems
Right.
that operate without any human control. Those are very real concerns that we need to be addressing, like right now,
Yeah.
before this technology gets too advanced.
Yeah, those are some scary scenarios. And it's not just about, malicious use, is it? There's also the potential for unintended consequences, even when AI is being used with the best intentions.
You're absolutely right. Think about algorithmic bias.
Okay.
AI systems are trained on data. And if that data reflects existing biases in society, the AI system can just perpetuate and amplify those biases.
Oh, wow. So can you give me a real-world example of how that might play out?
Sure. Imagine an AI system that's being used to make hiring decisions. If the data it's trained on shows that men are historically overrepresented in leadership positions, well, the AI system might unfairly favor male candidates.
Wow, so it's kind of like that saying, garbage in, garbage out, but with potentially huge consequences. How do we prevent that?
One important step is to make sure that the data that's used to train these AI systems is diverse and representative of the whole population. We also need to develop ways to detect and fix bias in algorithms. And we can't forget, we need humans in the loop, overseeing these systems and making sure they're being used fairly and ethically.
Okay, so it sounds like responsible AI development needs a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
We need to be thinking about education, regulation, ethical guidelines, and human oversight, all working together to ensure that AI is a force for good in the world.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm all ears. Where do we go from here?
I think we need to shift our thinking a bit. From AI as something that just happens to us, to AI as something that we actually shape.
Oh, I like that. So it's not about waiting around to see what AI is going to throw at us. It's about actively, participating in its development, making choices about how we use it. But that sounds like a huge task. Where do we even start with something like that?
Well, we can start by looking at specific areas where AI is already having a big impact. Take healthcare.
Okay.
AI is already being used to analyze medical images, diagnose diseases, even develop new treatments.
That's incredible. But I can't help but wonder, are there concerns about AI, making mistakes, especially when it comes to something as important as healthcare?
Of course, there are always risks. But think about it this way. AI can analyze these massive amounts of data, like way more than a human doctor could ever process, in a reasonable amount of time. And that can lead to earlier and more accurate diagnoses,
Right.
which can ultimately save lives.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good point. So it's more about using AI as a tool to help human doctors, not to completely replace them. But what about job displacement then? If AI is doing more of that diagnostic work, what happens to all the radiologists and pathologists?
That's a valid concern for sure. But remember the Industrial Revolution. That led to job displacement too, and new jobs emerged from that. The key is to kind of anticipate those shifts and make sure people have the training and support
Yeah.
to move into those new roles. Maybe radiologists in the future will focus more on interpreting those AI-generated diagnoses and working in partnership with AI systems.
Oh, okay. So it's more about adapting and evolving alongside the technology. But it's not just jobs, is it? There's also the issue of data privacy and security when we're talking about AI in sensitive areas like healthcare.
Absolutely. Data privacy is essential, especially when you're dealing with people's health records. We need strong regulations
Yeah.
and safeguards to make sure AI systems are used responsibly and that people's data is protected.
That actually reminds me of something. Back during the Industrial Revolution, there were all these concerns about factory conditions and worker safety. It took a while, but eventually regulations were put in place to protect workers. Are we seeing a similar trend happening now with AI?
We are, yeah, there are more and more calls for AI regulation. Governments around the world are starting to really grapple with the ethical and societal implications of AI. And we're starting to see frameworks and guidelines for responsible AI development emerging.
That's good to hear. It sounds like we're learning from those past mistakes and trying to be more proactive
Right.
about addressing potential problems.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just governments either. There's a growing movement within the tech industry itself to develop AI ethically and responsibly. Lots of leading AI companies are adopting these ethical principles and creating internal review boards to ensure that their AI systems are aligned with human values.
So it's really a team effort. Governments, tech companies, individuals, all working together to figure this out. I gotta admit, though, it can feel a little overwhelming sometimes. There's so much to consider, so much potential for both good and bad.
I hear you. It is a really complex landscape, and there are no easy answers. But that's exactly why it's so important to have these conversations, to engage with these issues, and to be actively involved in shaping the future of AI.
Okay, so what does that active involvement look like for the average person? What can I do as an individual to make a difference in all this?
You know, there are a few things. First, stay informed. Educate yourself about AI, its potential benefits and risks, the ethical considerations. There are tons of resources out there, online, books, educational programs.
Right, knowledge is power. What else?
Be mindful of your own data. Understand how your data is being collected
Yeah.
and used by these AI systems. And advocate for those strong data privacy protections.
So be a conscious consumer of technology. Make informed choices about what we use.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're concerned about how an AI system is being used, speak up. Talk about AI ethics with your friends and family, your colleagues. The more we talk about this stuff, the more awareness we raise, and the more we can push for positive change.
That makes sense. Be an active participant, not a passive observer. But hey, let's shift gears for a sec. Talk about something a little more fun. One of the things that I find fascinating about AI is its potential for creativity. I've seen AI being used to create art, music, even poetry. Is that a new thing? Or did we see something similar back during the Industrial Revolution?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And it's not a coincidence that you're seeing those parallels. The Industrial Revolution, that was a time of huge artistic and cultural change. All these new technologies inspired new art forms, new ways of seeing the world, new ways of expressing ourselves. Think about the Impressionist movement in painting or the rise of photography. Those are all kind of responses to the technological and societal shifts of that time.
Wow, that's so interesting. So we're kind of seeing history repeat itself. With AI now sparking these new forms of creative expression, what are some of the most exciting things you're seeing happening in that area?
One area that I think is particularly cool is how AI is being used in music composition.
Okay.
AI algorithms can now generate original melodies, harmonies, even entire musical pieces.
Wow.
Some composers are even using AI as a creative partner, collaborating with algorithms to produce music that wouldn't be possible otherwise.
That's wild. So again, it's not about AI replacing human artists. It's about AI expanding human creativity, pushing those boundaries.
Exactly. And it's not just music either. We're seeing AI being used in visual art, literature, even dance. It's a really exciting time to be exploring that intersection of AI and creativity.
It sounds like the possibilities are pretty much endless. But with all this talk about potential benefits, we can't forget about the risks.
You're absolutely right. We can't get so caught up in the excitement that we ignore the potential downsides of AI. One of the biggest concerns is how it could be used to manipulate people, their thoughts and behaviors.
Oh, wow. Okay. Can you give me some examples of what that might look like?
Think about how AI is used in advertising and marketing.
Okay.
AI algorithms can target people, with these very personalized messages that are designed to exploit their vulnerabilities and influence what they buy. And this technology can also be used for political purposes, to spread misinformation and sway public opinion.
So it's like the ultimate propaganda machine. And that's already happening,
To a
right?
certain extent, yeah.
Yeah.
We're already seeing examples of AI creating fake news articles and videos that are specifically made to deceive people.
Right.
And as AI gets more sophisticated, this problem is only going to get worse.
That's scary. So how do we protect ourselves from that? How do we make sure AI is being used ethically in these areas?
I think awareness is key. We have to educate ourselves
Yeah.
about how AI is being used to manipulate us and be critical of the information we see online.
So it's like we need to be media literate in this age of AI.
Exactly. And we also need to hold those tech companies accountable, for how their AI systems are being used. We need to demand transparency, oversight, push for regulations that actually protect people from manipulation and exploitation.
It sounds like we're facing a real dilemma here. AI has the potential to do so much good, but it also has the potential to be really harmful.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
That's the paradox of AI. It's this powerful tool that can be used for both good and evil. And in the end, it's up to us as a society to decide how we want to use it and what kind of future we want to create.
So what are the big takeaways here? What do we need to keep in mind as we navigate this world of AI?
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that the future isn't set in stone. We can shape the AI revolution and make sure it benefits all of humanity. But to do that, we need to be informed, engaged, proactive. We need to understand the potential benefits and risks of AI, advocate for ethical guidelines and regulations, and work together to create a future where AI makes our lives better, not worse.
I love that. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in this.
Exactly. This isn't just something for tech experts or politicians to figure out. It affects every single one of us. And the more we talk about it, the better chance we have of creating a future where AI is a force for good.
Well said. It's been such a fascinating discussion, covering everything from self-driving cars to AI-generated music to, the darker side of AI manipulation. And I think it's clear that this is just the beginning.
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. And as we move forward, we got to remember that AI is constantly changing. New challenges and opportunities are going to pop up all the time. We need to stay curious, stay engaged, and be open to adapting as this technology keeps advancing.
So basically, embrace the unknown and be ready for a future that's full of potential, but also uncertainty. Okay, well, with that in mind, let's move on to the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the more philosophical questions raised by the rise of artificial intelligence. Okay, so we've explored all those parallels between the Industrial Revolution and this rise of AI, and we've talked about, jobs, ethics, even creativity, but now I'm getting to the big question here, what does all this mean for us, as humans? I mean, if AI can learn, adapt, create, what does that even say about what it means to be human in this age of intelligent machines?
Yeah, that's a question that's been around for a while. Philosophers, scientists, they've been wrestling with that for decades. And it's only becoming more pressing, as AI gets more and more sophisticated. So some people argue that AI will force us to redefine what being human even means.
Redefine it.
Okay, well, think about those qualities that we usually associate with, human intelligence, things like creativity, critical thinking, empathy. If machines can do those things too, does that make us less human? Or does it free us up to focus on even higher level aspects of consciousness, experience?
So it's not necessarily a threat to our humanity, but maybe an evolution of what it means to be human.
Exactly. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, AI enhancing our capabilities, not replacing them. Imagine a world where AI handles all those, mundane tasks, data analysis, routine decisions, and we're freed up to focus on things like relationships, artistic expression, those big questions about, life, the universe, and everything.
Now, that's a future I could get on board with, almost like AI could help us be more human in a way. But here's another thought. If machines become more intelligent, more capable, are we going to start seeing them as more than just tools? Could we develop relationships with AI that are more friendships or even partnerships?
That's interesting, and it's something that science fiction has been playing with for a long time, right? We've seen you read those books where AI is like a sentient being that can connect with humans emotionally.
Right, like Her or Ex Machina. But is that just fantasy, or could we actually get to a point where we have those kinds of real relationships with AI?
It's hard to know for sure. We're not at the point where we can create AI that's truly, sentient, self-aware. But as it gets more sophisticated, I think it's possible that the lines between human and machine could start to blur a bit.
So we might end up in a world where we're not just interacting with AI, but relating to it on a whole other level. That's pretty exciting, but kind of freaky too, if I'm being honest.
I get that it brings up a lot of ethical and philosophical questions about how we should treat AI, what rights it might have, and how we deal with those potential emotional attachments between humans and machines.
It's like uncharted territory. No rules for how to handle any of this.
Exactly. We're making the rules up as we go, and that's why these conversations are so crucial. We have to think critically about what AI means and make conscious choices about the kind of future we're building.
Well, I think we've given everyone listening a lot to think about today. We've covered so much, the history of the Industrial Revolution, the potential impact of AI on jobs, ethics, creativity, even our understanding of what it means to be human.
Hopefully we've given them the information and the, inspiration to keep having these important conversations and really be a part of shaping the future of AI.
Couldn't have said it better myself. A huge thank you to you for sharing all your incredible insights with us today.
It was my pleasure.
Yeah.
These are conversations we all need to be having.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the chance to contribute.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into AI. Remember, the future is not something that just happens to us. It's something we create. So stay curious, stay engaged, and keep exploring the amazing possibilities of AI. Until next time.